Alrighty, everyone, welcome back to our next exit interview. We are joined by Andrew, the second boot of Trinity Falls. How are you doing, Andrew?
I just watched the episode, still shedding some tears away, but we'll be all right.
And as always, joined by Lilly, the exit interview specialist here. How are you?
I'm great. Sad to see Andrew, but
Yes, and as always, Alex, Trias, my co-host.
Not only your co-host, but also Andrew's one of Andrew's many ride or die / enemies of his winning Big Brother game in Instinct. Happy to have you here, Andrew, but not happy to have you here now.
Exactly.
It's always good to talk to you guys. It's always good to talk to you.
All right, let's dive right in.
Let's crack into it.
Yeah. So just right off the bat, what were your initial thoughts? Because you win the first challenge. What were your initial thoughts on the 3 tribes of 5 and the people that you had on your tribe?
Yeah, I say it in the episode right away. Like, I'm nervous in a small tribe because I need a little bit of time to prove my trust to people. And I'm never sure how my initial reactions to people will be, whether they can look past my profession and see that I am just a nice guy here to want to have fun with everybody. So I'm really trying to just play that up as much as I can, get to know everybody as much as I can, and do what I can with the limited amount of time. I kind of understand Sarah is just right off the bat super likable. I can't see her going anywhere anytime soon. So if tribal did come like it did, it wouldn't even have been a thought of mine because I just know it wouldn't get any traction. You meet Lex, he's just a huge personality, and I knew deep down that he was going to steer the vote no matter who it landed on. It was going to be him driving it, and I wanted to drive it with him. It just didn't happen.
Well, and you mentioned at the beginning that you have played or in some capacity Lee and Luke, but they are not on your tribe. Were you starting to think about if you got together, or were you kind of happy that you were able to play initially without them? Or would you have liked them to be on your tribe to work with them?
I mean, you take what you can get, right? So if they were on my first tribe, absolutely, I would take that and work with it. And then seeing them down the road, who knows? I like to just listen to conversations and try to understand if what Lee and Luke are telling me is truthful or not, and then decide whether that is something that I can use to my advantage and play with, or just play against. But if we were to meet up at a certain point in the game, whether it's swap or merge, if I happen to get there and I feel really good about my position with the tribe I started with, I'm not going to just make an irrational move because I know Lee or Luke. I'm going to stay strong with the people that have showed me support throughout the game. So I'm really just trying to spend these first 2 rounds saying, show me some support here. I will show you some support for a very long time. I think it got shown in the episode as pitching number ones to everyone. I tried to be careful with my words. I agreed with what Jon was saying to me and saying, yeah, you want to be Philly strong, let's do it. With Austin, I said we both are challenge assets and are needed, but I didn't give him more than that. I gave the most to Sarah, right? I was ready to be the closest to Sarah, hopefully have Lex on my side with Sarah, and have that be maybe the trio. That would have been my majority, with Jon as a 4th, and then Austin would have been the boot.
Mm-hmm.
You seem in the conversations, and you kind of mentioned it just there, that you're very careful with your words. Like you said, you didn't really say you wanted to be people's number ones, or you didn't mention number one, but when you see them get all together, when you're in your confessional, you're the last one pulled, that they all say that you had all said this. Were you ever afraid that maybe your words might have been in such a quick game, like you can't take notes? Were you ever afraid that would happen, or what were your thoughts on seeing that back?
I think now that I see it back, what happens here is those 4 really did click. Austin was able to talk to Sarah way more genuinely than he could with me. And maybe it was because my name was already going around, but it's also just because we didn't connect like they did. So when they all four have a chance to get in a room while I'm in a confessional, it's there, you can just tell they let their guard down a little bit and they spoke openly and really built trust with one another. I think if there was like Jon and Austin maybe didn't have the best relationship at that point. Maybe if they were one off, they weren't going to spill everything I said to each other. But I just got, I mean, you got to tip your hat to Lex, right? He said all the right things. He said, and then he went to another person and said somebody else said the wrong thing. So he really spun it the way he needed to spin it, because he's the one who came with, we should write down Austin. We don't need a puzzle person, and then told Austin I said that. And so he did that to Jon and over again. So, I don't know if that will ever get back to bite him down the road where he gets caught in a lie like that, but it worked for now.
Yeah. And I really loved the moment between you and Lex before like the whole situation where he's talking to you and you say like, Lex, this is like the most genuine thing. And it's great because like us on Prod, we're a huge fan of you, Andrew. Like, you're the nicest guy, most genuine. And so you can see throughout these like one-on-ones that you're having with people that you're not like, you feel like you're not connecting, it's not there. Looking back, do you think there's anything you could have done, or was it just your name was first and there was nothing you could do about it sort of situation?
Yeah. And I mean, watching the episode back, I think I should have trusted my gut, trusted my instincts, and noticed that I wasn't vibing with people. Noticed that probably means I am a name out there, if not the target. So I played that round way too passively and tried to hope like people would pull me in. And you know what? If I think I should have read that I was probably on the bottom and push names before names were out there, and just played that way and see what happens. Because, like, for example, we split right off as soon as the scramble starts. Jon's the first to say, "I'll dip out. Who wants to dip out with me?" Mistake number one was dipping out with him. Right? I should have stayed in the majority room and just played the majority numbers. If I'm in a room with Lex that whole round, he can't throw my name out, and then it's somebody else's. So I should have that was the biggest mistake, was being, as soon as me and Jon leave, it's one or the other. Then the second mistake is when I'm having this conversation with Jon, and I believed a little bit of what he was saying. I think he would have liked to hope it was not my name going out once he heard other things. So that being said, I should have come up with a name with Jon before I left that room. And then maybe if me and Jon start bouncing around with a name already, maybe that actually gets traction. But I left Jon without a name, and then he just took the first one he heard. So those are my two mistakes I take from it.
Yeah, it's like you found yourself in that tricky position of you were eager to meet Jon. You go into that breakout room, you allow a 3 to form where Lex has someone that's already connecting with because of the Seattle connection, and then you have Austin, who's also completely new, and Lex just sees both of them with like dollar signs in his eyes of like, oh, I'm wrapping them up right now. I'm gonna target both of them. I think I can work with Jon easier than Andrew. I'm going to put name on Andrew. If you're stuck to his hip the entire time, if you had that read, it was like you said, can never say your name. Well, he'll probably end up continuing to say your name because he kept messing up you and Austin. But he will have had to mean Austin or Jon. Right. And I agree with you on the sense of Jon. Jon, I think, did see the value of you, but him, Sarah, like they were in very much Sandra mode of just anyone but me. You have Jon also, who's being super cagey about his game experience, not telling everything, not telling about where he's from. He's like not trying to give anybody any type of thing that they can take and be like, oh, noted, threat. Because we see early here a lot of people, not just on your tribe, but on the other tribes as well, talking about org experience. Who are the veterans? Those are the people that need to go. Veterans took me out of my first game, so now this is my revenge tour on them. Like, you're just the face of someone else's experience. And it's like, it's sort of a hard thing for you to combat, because you don't know that. You don't have that given information, and it's impossible for you to then be like, but I'm different, because in their mind, they're going to be like, doesn't matter.
Once once you start playing a decent amount of games, the only way in my mind to be successful is to decide with the people you're with and forget anything that's happened before the game. Because whether I have experience or not, if I'm going to be loyal to you and you can trust that and feel that, that's something you should be wanting to play with, whether they have experience or not. I understand wanting to give newbies a chance in the first and second rounds of these games. I get it. And in these games, in the early stages, any reason's a reason to vote somebody out. So I don't shake it for that. In any game, you're doing your next mini season. Your next season could be the complete opposite, where a group of veterans stick together and there go the newbies. You just never know. It's just how the tribes were drawn up. It's what stuck. And I don't know how I could combat it. I wasn't going to lie completely about my experience. I'm trying to be a little open and not have to lie as much as.
Yeah, you just said you played a few games, but not that you're a winner or like any of that kind of stuff. So I mean, you did. I think there's only so much you can do.
When they asked, I said I played Big Brother and I got 5th, which is a lie. I didn't read it, but.
And the issue was Lex knew that was a lie as well. So like that, it was just like, you had the wrong other person with like game experience on the tribe with you in that specific event. Yeah. And sometimes, like you said, that's just how the tribes were formed. We do our best to try to create the most fair tribe setup, but things happen. And unfortunately, Lex just had his sights set on you.
Yeah.
Yep.
I did like what you mentioned earlier about being passive this round. And I think throughout the episode, for me, that was a theme that I saw. And like, that's not you, right? Like, you're a challenge guy, I feel like. And so you're trying to, tone that down. You're trying to not play the challenge. You don't want to throw out a name because you're afraid you're a target. So you're trying to tone that down. Looking back, you've already mentioned that you would have thrown out a name with Jon, but do you think going back to the challenge, would you have been more apt to, maybe if it was a different one and you had a level floor or all of that aside, would you have been more gung-ho about being in it? Or do you think the right move was to take the bullet and sit out?
Oh, see, if the challenge was something that I would help the tribe win, I would make it clear, like, I want to be in this and I'm going to help you win. I would not sit out if I can help.
Okay.
It was literally looking around and like, right now I'm currently talking to you on a plyo box, like a box you jump on in a gym. Like, there's no surface to like blow and suck any kind of ping balls. So other than not going to, first of all, I was probably, if I did it, I was probably going to be the weak link anyway. And now that's a whole nother, story to vote me out as well. So like, I tried it. I was awful at it. I'm in a garage right now where I play these games and it's on a downhill slant. So as I blow the ball, it's coming back like immediately. So like, I was just in a shitty, a bad spot. And so sitting out was like, nobody wanted to do it. So I was like, you know what? I'll sit out. It's okay. We don't have to fight about this. And I wasn't going to be good at it. A different challenge that I'm going to help. I'm not going to shy away from it. Take it for what it is. If that puts a target on my back, I'm going to prove that I can help the tribe.
Yeah, yours and Jon's mindsets on the taking one for the team were kind of did not align here. You were just like, you know what, I'll do it. No one seems like they want to. I'll be the one to step up and sit out. And Jon was like, yeah, he seemed really eager to sit out. And it's like, well, nobody was saying a name, so he just took the initiative, but that kind of made you look a little bit more negatively in his eyes instead of like how you view it of taking it one for the team.
Yeah.
When I watched like the episode back, I read it as like Jon saying, oh, he did kind of saying that to people as like almost like a subtle reason to vote me out, and then he would always follow up with like, but he was willing to do it, like,
yeah.
So
just not as much as we were
trying to like, yeah, he's just trying to pepper that. Yeah, maybe this is the right decision.
Well, yeah, and like we see that Jon like doesn't have full trust in the rest of the tribe either. It was just that like he's like, I'm not gonna push back because I know if I push back, then it potentially rolls onto me. And it was almost as if he was like sort of trying to take like a bit of a martyr approach of like, well, I was sucking in practice, but like I took one for the team and I tried to step up and almost did it.
Yeah.
Like Andrew could have done the same thing, but he didn't. But that's okay. That's okay that you didn't. Someone had to sit out, but it's like you were in a damned if you did, damned if you didn't situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And my last question is, there seems to be a different kind of theme this game, right? A lot of the first boot, which we see Mike go home, a lot of the people that go home first are people that are bad at challenges. And it wasn't how it played out the last round. And same with this round, right? You think it's still early on, you're thinking team strong, you want to get out people that aren't going to be able to perform. But it seems like this cast is more worried that they're all bad at challenges and they want to be able to hide. And I think like that is what heightened Mike and yours kind of threat level and why you inevitably go out. Was that clear, I guess, in the game? Because we see Mike, we talked to Mike, he was like, the first person to go is the person that spent 50 minutes on a puzzle that one guy got in 10, and same with here, like, if we have a plank challenge, like who's going to do it if we vote out Andrew? And so could you get that vibe, or did you ever worry that these people were thinking way long-term than most games at this point?
I think it's like if nobody on the tribe is disastrous at the challenge or just completely isolated and awkward in their social conversations, what else are you going to do? And then the next avenue. And I think somebody, maybe even on a winning tribe, mentioned it. It's like, do we go for the big target, the challenge threat, or do we take out the hanging fruit? And when there isn't really that fruit that you can reach, then you go reach for the sky and take out a big target. And like I understand that maybe that's me. It's just when I'm not afraid to be like, yeah, I'm sitting in a gym. I'm a personal trainer. It is what it is. That's my job. And I'm not going to hide it. I'm just going to hope you listen to me and enjoy talking to me. And if that doesn't happen, then I'll be tough. You'll be snuffing my torch.
Yeah. These first two boots are kind of unlike what we've had in any of our seasons. Usually it's like, oh, you sat out of the challenge. You're good. You're safe. You didn't do anything to help us lose. Right. So like you're good, but now it was like a bad thing to say. I don't know, but let's get into these Facebook questions here. Our first one is from Carrie. She says, do you prefer weight training or cardio?
Weight training. Everybody lift weights. You're always going to burn more fat quicker if you're lifting weights, and the more muscle you have, the faster you burn fat. Weight training, everybody.
There you go. Kyle asks, do you think having workout equipment in the background made you look like more of a bigger threat?
Okay, so this happened and I saw it in episode 1 and I was like, damn. So what I don't do the Jonathan setup. I don't.
Oh, the Jonathan setup.
I usually pull the T-Rex down and all you see is my white wall. Mm-hmm. But in that first challenge, I had to get up and spin around and show you guys doing that. And so all of a sudden, everybody's watching me in my gym. Like, so you see my treadmill and you see my weights and and watching the episode, I'm like, they would have never saw that if I didn't have to get up and spin around. So I do try to hide my setup, but it kind of got exposed in the challenge, if that even factored in at all. But I do try to hide my setup. Yeah.
I will say before you continue the questions, personally, from my aspect of playing these games as well and seeing people play these games, I don't take gym equipment as a threat because, let's just be real here. Over 80% of org competitions have nothing to do with how much you can lift or how long you can hold a plank or how long you can do a wall sit. Those are very specific instances. I've seen people of all shapes and sizes win an assortment of comps And when most of our comps involve cups and ping pong balls, I'm like, come on.
No, I agree. But listen, speaking from somebody who thinks like that, I'm worried about the one endurance challenge. I have no chance. So, like, if it's me or somebody, I'm like, they told me they don't work out. Okay, like I'm not worried, right? But I will say, I don't think it takes, but like people like me, and I think we see that in Lex, he calls Andrew a gym rat right before tribal. Like it's always, if you can't do a plank, you're thinking about who can do a plank.
Yeah, but what if it's like in Sahara Dunes where you need that person to do that plank in the tribal phase, and it's not in an individual situation. So I don't know. I always want to have that more fit person or like gym guy on my side, because like who cares if they win, as long as they're allied with me, then they can win. Right. I don't give a shit.
And obviously I'm biased because I've worked with Andrew.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say because you work out. I was like, yeah.
Well, not as much as him.
You were lifting a medicine ball before Andrew got here.
It's 8 pounds.
What were you saying, Andrew?
I was just gonna say I do agree. If I have a frustration, it's like I do get targeted sometimes for being a challenge beast where you know, I don't see a lot of online reality game challenges that are in my wheelhouse. So I don't win as much as people seem to think. So I just go into the game aware that I might be perceived that way and try to counter it. But I'm really not, like, you throw me a puzzle, I'm going to be there for a while. So,
yeah.
Alex, that was lucky.
Okay. I'm just saying he's won puzzle comps against me as well, and I'm very good at puzzles.
Our next question comes from Kylie, and she asked, "What's your favorite quad-focused workout?" And then we have a second question that's game related. But what is your favorite quad-focused workout?
Gym time with Andrew. Quad-focused workout. Oh, you know what? Already, everyone read Bulgarian split squats. Put that foot up and on the something in the back. Challenge your balance a little bit. Burn that quad up. Bulgarian split squats.
All right. And then her second question is, who from another tribe do you wish you got the chance to work with?
Ooh, good question. I'm not going to go with the layups because I know people, right? Lee or Luke. Let's see. Who? What I got? You know, I didn't stick around too long. I played 2 challenges. I kind of got the feel for some people. I'm trying to think of somebody who really, I'll go with Lo, because Lo just kind of gave me like this friendly, engaging vibe where she just wanted to, like, it just felt like Lo was going to hear you first and talk to you and use that first conversation with anybody and then make a decision. Instead of coming, maybe she came open-minded. She really felt happy to be there and happy to meet people, and I like that. So let's go Lo.
All right.
I like that pick.
Yeah.
Now my next couple questions are from Denny. She said, "I don't care how I worded it, just ask it." So you gotta blame her for if it's harsh or whatever. She said, "We had a convo once about shirt choices in games. Do you think you would have come off as less of a gym rat if you didn't buy your t-shirt from the toddler section?"
Yeah, so I spent all day like trying to find a shirt. I as I watch our episodes back, I'm like sweating in these too. My gym can get hot, and I didn't have like my like fans on to like cool me down because it's loud. So I'm like sweating during the game. So I wanted to wear a t-shirt. So I wore the shirt I wore said "Pumps for Paws." It was the one time I did a workout that was to raise money for animal shelter. So I felt like if someone's going to call me out on a shirt, at least I have like an endearing story behind it. But it definitely was a little tiny. I'll go baggier next time.
Her next question is, and speaking of gym rat, Lex was throwing out a lot since he couldn't remember your name. Considering he was so outspoken and had the Seattle connection with Sarah, whom you wanted to be number ones with. Why did you not try to pitch his name as the biggest threat?
Because if you spend any time like in round one when we are safe and we're just in a room chatting, like my perception of Lex is he has complete control of the tribe. Like if for the most part everyone wants to work with Lex, so throwing out his name would probably just fall on deaf ears, even if like I thought it was a move that should be made, especially if I'm the only other name out there. I just didn't think that name would get any traction. I kind of did go in the round thinking it's got to be Jon or Austin, if not me. And then Jon gave me a really good conversation. So I was, I just didn't think anybody would even like, if anything, if I say, let's do Lex, I'm just out that much quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
This next question is from Anonymous, but I'm pretty sure within this question, you will know who it's from. What made you believe what Lex was saying to put the vote on Austin? I'm curious what was so convincing. I thought I had such nervous energy and talked so fast. That would be a red flag for me if I was in your shoes.
It's probably funny watching the episode and be like, oh my goodness, how did Andrew fall for that? But like,
he was the only one giving you a name. I would believe
he was the only one. He gave me a name. He gave me a reason. He was the only, and that's just how he was talking the whole game. He talks fast and he talks with energy. So like, looking back, it looks silly. Like, how did I fall for that? But in the moment, I had like a very cagey conversation with Austin and Sarah. Jon gave me something good at the beginning of the scramble, and I never got back to him in time to hear his thoughts at the end. So it was really just the only person that was giving me something. And so, and I said in my confessional too, like whether it was BS or not, I've got to roll with it. And so hopefully by me trying to push on Lex, like, I believe you, I'm with you, and trying to convey that, you don't have to worry about me here, Lex. Like, hopefully he would just like, that would be the truth he falls on, because I'm sure he was giving a different truth to everyone. And so hopefully maybe the truth he was telling me ends up being the one he does decide on, because I sounded so genuine with wanting to work with him. So, I mean, if I look back, I could have probably like made, like, now that I hear it back, like, come on, Lex knows what an org is. Like, him trying to be like, what's org stand for? Like, I could have maybe like thrown him under the bus to other people at times and been like, I know Lex has played a game. I've seen him play games. Like, so like I could have fought back at him now that I see it happening. But again, I just wanted to trust someone. And since I also thought Lex had a lot of power in the tribe, he seemed the right person to trust and try to get under his wing until it was the right time to cut him down the road. But I would have played with Lex for a long time too. Seattle Light sounds like a fun name to, roll with. And I could be from Seattle and that would have been a little fun, but that's for another day, another story.
And our last question here is from Lydia. If you could have swapped out one of your tribe mates for someone from a different tribe to try and change the outcome of the vote, who would you pick?
Okay, so I think it depends when I get to do this, but if it's like right after the challenge, I'm probably swapping out Austin for Selkirk, because we saw Selkirk struggle with the dice so much. And maybe my connections that I have with Jon and Sarah and Lex are just a duo. Maybe just putting somebody that was the hanging fruit of the game at that point, it might have saved my butt and it would have been an easy vote out. Or any swap actually would have saved me at that point, because hopefully it would have been 4 originals against 1 newbie, unless they were upset with the decision I made. But I would try to pitch it like I'm keeping Sarah, Lex, and Jon because I feel the best with you guys. And Selkirk just seems like an easy name to get people on board with at this moment.
Yep.
Yeah, and to go off of that question, unread question. It's from Alex Trace from PA. So with these games, like, it's small tribes. You're at Final 14 there. Was there any part of you during that scramble that was thinking ahead of like, maybe as a pitch that could have happened was there's going to be a swap? Like, I can tell you right now, whatever if you guys keep me, I'm deadly loyal. That's how I play all my games. This is how you guys can advance your games, because if we go just based off my appearance, people will be threatened by me, and I then become a shield for you in a swap where potentially we become a minority in a spot. I can be a shield for you. Like that pitch of constantly just selling how you are a target, but you're a good target to have, and you're not someone who would be gunning after them if they keep you.
Right. I don't love playing defensive, and that just feels like if I'm giving a pitch to why you're saving me, I'm like, why is he already pitching to save me? Does he like, he must be the name out there. And like I can play more aggressively, but I don't know, like if I would want to pitch myself as like, this is why you'll keep me around. I would rather, I did try to pitch some loyalty and say like to Sarah, like, you're my number one. It's the only person I said that to. I kind of like paint a picture in my head of who I want to work with and not worry about the swaps and twists of the game. So like, I want my majority to be Lex and Sarah. And then if I get swapped, I have a good relationship with Jon. And then hopefully we can stick. Maybe it's a strategy I should at least consider. And if I can have a confessional and tell you guys, I'm not having a lot of luck with these people, well, maybe it's time to get defensive right off the bat.
Right. See, I love these conversations with you, man. This is what Andrew and my conversations are usually like off camera as well.
Yeah. It's like, hey, let's talk a little game for a little bit. And then like an hour later, we're breaking everything down.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yep.
All right, Lily, you have a final question for Andrew.
I do, but I'm going to throw in a second that I was thinking about as you and Alex were talking. So my first question is, now you've played with almost half of production. So let's say someone from production gets thrown into your tribe. Who, if you could pick, would you pick and why?
Probably not you or McKenna.
Yeah, no pressure to pick me. I mean, or T-God, but
no. He knows
honestly,
the answer.
Lily, honestly though, and this isn't even like sucking up because you're here, but like if the dynamics of the one game that we did play together were there, I felt actually like one of the better connections with you, where like you and I would really work well together on a strategic level and just like balance each other out on our how we're perceived in the game.
That's her trick.
And so like
that's her trick.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. It's true.
Other. Yeah.
I really do. I'm not even like, I mean, it's not just, it literally is not because you're here, because like, if I think back to the time we played, I felt like if I was going to move forward in that game, it would have been with you and the people that you were aligned with. So I'm not just trying to butter up.
Don't worry. I'm just taking some notes right here.
Listen, he already worked with you.
Yeah.
And don't worry, like Luke, I'm underlining it.
And my final question for you, Andrew, is if you could sum up your game in one word, what would it be and why? It can be hyphenated.
Yeah.
It's not a strong one word.
I mean, let's just go with the word that comes in my mind, and it's abrupt.
Abrupt.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like it.
Not necessarily how I play. Like I was trying to think of a word of like how I played, but like, no, it was just quick, and I never got my footing. So
yeah, maybe because you were on an incline.
Yeah, that's exactly why. The first thing I said to Ian in the final confessional was like, we're on a hot streak here, but you win some, you lose some.
And before we head out, one last question is here. You've just been eliminated from the game. You look at the field, there's 13 names there. Who do you think comes out on top? Or at that point, who do you think goes out on top?
That's tough too. Especially when I have some spoilers. So when I go out of the game, I mean, I do think Lex is in it for a long haul. Like I know he's in a power position. I know Sarah and him are going to be riding that Seattle thing for a while. I also know though Lex is probably like, I leave the game not thinking Lex is going to win it. I just know he's in it for a long time. So maybe it is whoever like attaches them to Lex's hip, whether that maybe is Sarah. So like, I guess I leave thinking like they're in a solid spot. Yeah. I don't know enough about the other tribes to say who's in a good spot or not.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
But hey, thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us. And that wraps up our second boot exit interview for Trinity Falls. We'll obviously be back next week. We are always on twice a week after the episodes that air on Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. and our weekly recap on Sundays with John David Millsip, who has some special guests for the first recap. But remember to like this video, press that bell for all notifications, and press the subscribe button. Because why aren't you subscribed? You should be. We're great. We're dynamic. Also, join our Facebook page, Dynamic Character Productions. That's where you can post your questions for the exit interviews. You get notifications as well for when new episodes have dropped, when the boot posts go up, and all. And if you want to be in the fancy games and votes, that's all where it's happening. And follow us on all of our social media that you'll see at the end of this video. But we've been Dynamic Character Productions, and we will see you all next time.